Hey everyone, Austin from Rekluse. Today we're going to be installing a Core Manual clutch into a Sherco 300 SE. Core Manual is our standard or conventional style clutch system that is a billet system but reuses or uses an OEM style friction plate. Most people know us for our Core Manual torque drive for our manual products. This is a very similar product, however uses more of a standard clutch pack. To be very clear, this isn't an auto clutch, and when you say the word Rekluse, it means that it's a clutch system from Rekluse, which means it could be any kind of system, whether it's an auto clutch or a manual clutch. So let's take a look at the components for this Core Manual clutch system and then get going on an install. Core Manual is comprised of a few main components. The core of Core Manual is the billet innards, which is the pressure plate and the hub that comes from Rekluse. So that's going to be a full billet pressure plate, hard anodized coating, and then it gives you some different spring options too from Rekluse, as well as our center hub, which is also hard anodized. Additionally, it's going to come with a clutch pack, and it's going to vary by model. It's either going to use an OEM friction that you'd reuse from your stock bike, or it'll come with an OEM style friction from Rekluse. Also, some bikes, like the Sherco, for example, will come with a clutch cover, and that's all dependent on the clutch clearance that we have to work with inside the motorcycle. So the first thing we want to do before we get started is oil our friction plates. Make sure the gas is turned off, and then we're going to lay the motorcycle down on its left side. So our next step is we're going to take the clutch cover off. Some bikes you may have to put something in the brake pedal to basically keep it out of your way. For the Sherco, we have pretty good access with the brake pedal still on. So we're just going to go ahead and take an 8mm and remove the clutch cover bolts. Once the bolts are loose, go ahead and pull out the bolts and then remove the clutch cover. Set it aside. Now that the clutch cover is removed, we're going to go ahead and remove the clutch spring bolts. So the 6 bolts around. On this bike, it's a 5mm Allen. A lot of bikes is a 10mm. Bikes vary. Let's go ahead and pull out the springs on the bolts. And go ahead and set those aside. Now we're ready to remove the pressure plate. So remove the pressure plate. You can grab some of the top friction plates and just pull them all out together. You also want to go ahead and remove your clutch throwout. And you can see the throwout rod bearing and spacer or top washer all stuck on the inside of the stock pressure plate. We're going to be reusing this stock throwout, so you want to make sure you grab those washers from your stock pressure plate. Now that our pressure plate and throwout assembly are removed, we're going to go ahead and remove the center hub, and that'll pull out the rest of our clutch pack. So to remove the center clutch nut, it's going to vary by bike on what size that is. For this bike, it's a 30mm. Using an impact with the biking gear will help get that off. Now once the center clutch nut is removed, we'll go ahead and just pull out the entire clutch assembly. You might have to move your brake pedal down. Now that our OEM clutch is out, we're going to go ahead and start installing our Rekluse Core Manual clutch system. Make sure that our washer is still in place, just double checking, and then go ahead and install the Rekluse center clutch hub. And then followed with a lock tab washer. Now that the lock tab washer is installed, we can go ahead and install our OEM clutch center hub nut. I'll take it down snug, and then we'll come back and we're going to torque this to your OEM specification, or 50 foot-pounds is a good rule of thumb. To hold the center clutch in place, you can either have the bike in high gear and either have someone help you and hold the rear wheel, or you can actually use a Rekluse clutch hub installation tool. So this will hold everything tight for us to torque the center clutch nut down. If you're going to keep your brake pedal on like we decided to, you got to kind of work around that. Go ahead and torque to 50 foot-pounds. Now that our center hub nut is torqued to proper spec, we're going to use a set of channel locks to bend the lock tab washer up. It's a good idea to try to get it as flush as possible, and we're going to bend both of the tabs up. Now that our center clutch is secure and our nut is locked with the lock tab washer, we're ready to install our OEM throwout, making sure that the bearing and any washers that were with the stock assembly are still installed, and we're going to reinstall them into our Core Manual product. We're ready to start installing the Rekluse clutch pack. Clutch packs will vary by model, so you want to make sure you look at your manual or your setup sheet to see how this goes together for your bike. So for this bike and most Rekluse clutch systems, we're going to start with the steel, and then follow that with the friction plate out of the bag that are pre-oiled. Then we're going to follow friction steel throughout the rest of the clutch pack, and depending on model, we'll either end with a steel or a fiber. After the clutch pack's installed, we're ready to install the Rekluse billet pressure plate. So go ahead and set that down on the hub, and then install your included Rekluse pressure plate springs, bolts, and sleeves. Go ahead and install the pressure plate springs using a 5mm Allen. You can use an impact, just do it very carefully. Torque the pressure plate spring bolts to 12 Newton meters or 9 foot-pounds. Your Core Manual clutch kit will come with a set of springs. Additional spring options are available from Rekluse, whether you want to go softer or heavier, depending on the needs of the rider and the terrain. Now that's it for the Core Manual clutch install. Some kits will reuse your OEM clutch cover, or some will come with a Rekluse clutch cover. For any products that we sell, the clutch cover is available. So we're going to go ahead and button this up with a nice billet clutch cover. Tighten down our clutch cover bolts, and then we're going to go ahead and torque these to OEM spec. That's it for the Core Manual install on the Sherco 300 today. We're gonna go ahead and do a little bit of break-in, which is basically just in the parking lot running through the gears. You may notice a little bit extra drag as the clutch system breaks in with those fresh fiber plates. Additionally, make sure you're checking out other components available from Rekluse for standard clutch systems, like our manual billet clutch slave cylinders. If you have any other questions for Rekluse, feel free to reach out, give us a call, or check out our website. And always subscribe for new videos to stay informed on what's coming from Rekluse.